I'm going to talk to you today about a topic which I have enjoyed reading. I think by reading this, by researching it, by writing on it, I have taken a lot of pleasure. I think it has elevated me. I think it has improved my understanding of the way we work. The issue is about honoring Ratan Tata for his lifetime achievements by TIE in August 2020. I had read about the news at that time, but I had not kept notes on it. But while researching about Ratan Tata during the last 2 days, I remembered that there was something of that kind. And when I looked for it, I was able to find it. Now, you will see that this particular event was something which was truly great because Thai India invited another great Indian businessman, Narayan Murthy of Infosys, to honor Ratan Tata. And what happened on the stage was magical. When Narayan Murthy stood up to honor Ratan Tata, Ratan Tata bowed before Narayan Murthy because Narayan Murthy is much elder in age. And it was a scene to behold where Narayan Murthy was trying to bow before Ratan Tata to honor him, and Ratan Tata wanted to touch the feet of Narayan Murthy because he was much elder than Ratan Tata. I, I want to say that on on August 2020, on the stage in Mumbai, was enacted a scene which was a replica in spirit of the scene which must have occurred at Kurukshetra 5,000 years back when Sri Krishna, was talking to Arjun. It was truly great. It was a situation where the person who was honoring was saying that I am honored to honor Ratan Tata. And he said, I call upon all the businessmen in this hall to be authentic, to be ethical, to follow in the footsteps of Ratan Tata. And when Narayan Murthy said it, it was authentic. If somebody else had said it, it might not have looked to be authentic. When Narayan Murthy says it for Ratan Tata, you cannot doubt the authenticity of the whole statement. Dear friends, it is an honor to be present at such an occasion. It is an honor to witness that kind of scene. And of course, when Narayan Murthy calls upon you and says, henceforth be ethical, henceforth follow standards, the kind of which Ratan Tata has followed, you start thinking, yes, I should. You start thinking, this is something possible. You start thinking and improving yourselves. So I call upon you to read this whole thing. I also found it interesting that Narendra Modi wants to, bring IC technology to India from scratch. And for that purpose, he has started a PLI scheme of about $12 billion. Now, in PLI, he is offering to not charge GST for 5 years on production of high technology IC chips and of smart technology products. Now, please understand, he is not offering, as China and USA are doing, subsidy on capital. He is only saying, I will not charge GST. And you see, you may think why, if USA and China are giving subsidy of capital of billions of dollars for onshoring the product in their countries, their respective countries, how would industry come to India? And is it a wise move? And I think it is a very, very wise move. And you know what he has done? He is trying to ask Ratan Tata, he tried to ask Ratan Tata to be patriotic enough to do it, to pull investments from the Tata Group for this purpose. Now, the chairman of Tata Trust and Tata Sons is a person who has an authority to oversee pulling of investment as no other businessman in the world has. This is a house which is more than 150 years old. And Tatas have, have accumulated wealth for trusts for a long time. It is not the wealth only of Ratan Tata. What is more, these trusts have been working for a long time. And in fact, the patriarch, he said that the donation he is giving is for preparing individuals to serve the nation. That was the objective. And one of the first things they did was to donate for Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. And this particular trust, with this kind of objectives, was the one which was handled by, which was overseen by Ratan Tata. What is more, Ratan Tata had reorganized it after JRD Tata. JRD Tata had kept the whole thing very decentralized. And Ratan Tata had seen in 1971 the effort by the governmentalized banks to take over companies which had large loans. And therefore, the objective at that time was that the banks would convert those loans into equity and thereby capture the boards of companies which have a lot of loan which was repayable. What Tata did was at the very beginning, as soon as he took over in 1991, he ensured that they bought back the stock of all the companies through each other so that 66% of the stock of every company was owned by Tata companies only. So, therefore, it was all controlled by Tata Trusts because all the stock that the companies have, whatever dividend it brings, it all goes to Tata Trusts. So 66% of all the income generated and paid out by the Tata companies became the property of Tata Trusts. Secondly, what Tata did was he took the Tata Group to the world stage, starting from a revenue of $4 billion. By the time he left, the revenue had already jumped to $200 billion. And by 2024, it had become about $400 billion. This is the kind of change that he was able to accomplish. Now, what I am trying to say is that Tata was actually sitting over uh, a an institution of Tata Trusts and Tata Sons, which gave him the authority of pulling investment, of encouraging investment in a particular direction, whichever he thought was beneficial to the society, to the country, to the company. And you see, any board of any company which is being efficiently run would try to look at all these things. They will look at, of course, the profitability and productivity of the company. But they will also look at the other stakeholders, as is the practice in Tata's. They will look at what it is doing to the society. They will look at the benefits that it brings to the country. And therefore, if the government gives a subsidy of capital, it may not be as effective, as productive, as the capital being pulled by this kind of efficiently run companies. The second thing that Ratan Tata had done was to take these companies, as we said, to the world stage. Therefore, each of the companies had become a company which was, having production, having sales in different countries. The company, in fact, Tata Group, operated in about 150 countries by 2024, and they had production facilities in about 100 countries. For example, look at the example of Tata Chemicals. When Ratan Tata took over in 1991, they had a good facility for soda ash at Mithapur, Gujarat. And they were, of course, the largest producer of soda ash in India. By 2024, Tata Chemicals had production facilities in India, in Netherlands, in England, in France, in USA. And what is more, while the production in Mithapur was based upon a chemical process, the production at Vyomong is based upon the natural availability of the ore. And the natural availability of the ore makes the cost of soda ash less. And therefore, a mix where 50% of soda ash is from the natural ore leads to a situation where the company can mix and match according to the market demand to provide the best of service to the users. What I'm trying to say is that what Tata has done, Ratan Tata has done, is to take these capabilities of the Indian companies and to put them jointly with the capabilities of other companies in the world to create a system which is the best for the society, for India, for the world. And therefore, this is something exactly according to what Sri Krishna said. Sri Krishna said, anything which you do, if you do it for the society, if you do it for, serving, for doing it for the cause of God, if you say that whatever you are doing is going to be offered at the feet of God, then it is the highest form of worship. That is his definition of worship. And I think there is no better example of that than the kind of work which Ratan Tata did. And I also think that Narendra Modi realized, Prime Minister Narendra Modi realized the kind of authority which uh, by 2014 was enjoyed by Ratan Tata. Probably Ratan Tata himself didn't know that he was the most powerful businessman of the world at that particular point of time. And therefore, what he could do to pull investment in the right direction could not be done by anyone else. And Modi tried to pull him towards providing the first investments for this purpose, thinking that once these investments prove to be productive, once these examples prove to be, beneficial, profitable, then other companies, other large companies will also come in. So it was an example which he wanted to set. There are many large companies in India, not only Tata's, but the only thing is nobody else except the person who is chair of both the Tata Sons and Tata Trust has the authority of the kind which is possessed by this particular position. And Narendra Modi realized it. And I say, when he asked and he encouraged Ratan Tata to invest in these projects, he was acting like Jamwant. You know, Hanuman would forget that he was so powerful till he was reminded about it. So, when they were standing at the shores of the sea between India and Sri Lanka, Jamwant reminded Hanuman. He said, "You have the energy, you have the power to be able to cross it." And Hanuman did. This is called Hanuman syndrome. So the person had the authority, he had the capability to be able to do something. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi realized it and he tried to use it for the service of the company, country, and the world. And this is something, this is exactly the thing which Jamban tried and succeeded. He is also going to succeed. India is going to succeed. We are starting from scratch, but I am sure in a decade, if we continue like this, we will reach where China and America want to reach. We will become a strong center for production of the most sophisticated IC chips as well as smart electronic technology of the fourth industrial revolution. I call upon you to read what I have written on my site. My site is www.dignews360.com. Digi news NEWS 360 are digits.com. So I invite you to come to that particular site. It contains news with a lot of research. The news is usually of 5 minutes read because there are a lot of photographs. So the reading is about 5 minutes and it is usually in the first 5 pages. For the Ratan Tata case, of course, it extends to 7 pages, but because photographs are more over there, so after 5 minutes read, the remaining pages are for the backgrounders. Backgrounders are labeled. You can read the backgrounder which you want to read, or you can read the backgrounders at leisure. So, therefore, I invite you to come to that particular site and to enjoy reading what I enjoyed while writing. Thank you very much for listening to me. Difficult to follow in the footsteps of.
ਅਭੀ ਐਡਿਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਕੱਟ ਹੋਣੀ, ਐਡਿਟ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਏਗਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਓਪਨ ਬਣਾ, ਉਹੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕਿ